Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Grab your coffees because today we are going to be demoing the new Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. Here is the box. For those of you who are new to my channel, I film in natural lighting, so you will see the light fluctuate a little bit throughout the video. But I like to film in natural lighting because I think it's better for swatches. I feel like what you see on camera is going to be the closest thing you'll see in person, and upon application as well. You know, how is it going to look in daylight? So here is the beautiful packaging of the palette, and as you can see, there's like that 3D third ring here. This palette is brand new. She got really creative with the casing of this. It is much thicker and heavier than her other palettes because it's got like this extra layer here of plastic. I love the packaging. I love that she's stepping out of the box, and I really do think that this palette does go with the whole retro glam theme, but I do prefer her other more simple palettes just because of the weight. And I don't know, to me it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, and I know that that's an unpopular opinion. I know that so many people just prefer this really cool packaging over her like plain Jane normal kind of packaging. So I already know y'all don't feel the same, but just wanted you to know we're here to give you my thoughts. All right, so here's the palette on the inside, and as usual, all of Natasha Denona palettes have the little holes in the back so you can pop out the shades and rearrange this and mix it up with other shades from other palettes. You can literally customize this to look like whatever you want. You can do that with all of her palettes, but this is a retro glam. And finally, this is what we were all asking for, because for a while there, her miniature palettes were not looking like their bigger sister palettes. You know what I mean? Like the Zendo, the original retro palette. For example, her original retro palette, when this came out, we thought it was gonna be obviously the bigger sister to the mini retro palette, right? Because this one is called mini retro and this is called retro. But then this is what we got, and we were everyone was like, really does that look like an extension to this? No, right? I wasn't mad about it. This palette is beautiful. I just wouldn't have necessarily named this the retro palette. I would have named this the retro glam, actually, because this is supposed to be like in conjunction with the glam palette, according to like, you know, what she was saying. But whatever, we rolled with it. It was, you know, people were just like, no, we want a bigger version of this. So, and we asked and she delivered, and she was super kind to be able to do that. Let me show you. This is the Zendo, okay? Let me show you the mini Zendo palette, because I'm waiting for an actual extension of this palette to come out. Okay, this is the mini Zendo. This is the midi Zendo. Again, confused. Everyone just confused. Nobody understands. So we were just like, we're not understanding. We're not understanding. These are supposed to be extension of these. But okay, so hence the retro glam was born. And here we are. This is an actual extension of the mini retro palette, and it's what we were all asking for. These look like sisters. They look like sisters. They look like siblings. The other ones don't, okay? So when I tell you people went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for this palette, this retro glam palette, because ever since this palette launched, people just love this, and they had just been asking and asking and asking, when are you gonna release a midi? When are you gonna release a midi of that palette? And we were very let down by this one. We loved it, but it wasn't what we were expecting because of the name. And so here we are. I picked it up because at this point I don't know really how I became a collector of Natasha Denona palettes, but I slowly did, and I'm not mad about it. But I picked it up because, of course, I love the mini retro palette, and I was looking forward to an extension of that palette. So I'm very excited. And now that you got an entire backstory of something you didn't ask for, let's go ahead and get started. So what I have on my face, just for the sake of this video and to save time, I have already prepped my face, so we're gonna dive directly into the shadows. I have my Bare Minerals Original Foundation on my face, and I am the color Light number 8. These jumbo sizes only come out during the holidays, and currently the version that they have right now is baby blue, so they come out with like a new casing every year. I didn't pick it up this year just because, I'm gonna be honest, I did not like the baby blue packaging. I don't think that it screams holidays or Christmas at all to me. Plus I have last year's that I haven't even opened yet, so I didn't pick it up. But this is the Bare Minerals Mineral Veil. I use this to set my face. And for Project Pan, I have finally used up the little bit that was left of my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star and Glow palette, the bronzer. I can't get any more out of there. It's becoming really difficult. So I'll just continue to use the highlight until it's done. And that's what I have as bronzer and highlight on my face. As far as blush is concerned, I am wearing my Chanel number 320 Rouge Profonde. I do like a little red cheek during the fall and winter season. And then as eyeshadow primer, I have my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. This is the original formula. This is also Project Pan. I'm literally have probably like a couple more uses out of this, and I'm done. Okay, so I'm gonna do two different looks with this palette, one on each eye, just so that we can play around with color and all that jazz. Okay, I'm gonna be using my Refer brushes, and I'm gonna start off, where is my number 1? I'm gonna start off with using brush number 1, and I'm gonna dip into the color Lucy right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply that all over my lid, depending on how this looks, because it hasn't been the first time I've dipped into one of these shadows in the palette, and they are very dark. So I'm gonna just lightly, okay, that's good, that's good. All right, so I'm gonna apply Lucy all over the lid just to kind of neutralize the eyelid a little bit. I'm gonna bring that up all the way to the brow bone, and then I'm just doing it the same thing to the other eye. By the way, these Refer brushes I've had for a while, and I had originally bought them because I wanted to use them with my Natasha Denona bronze palette, which was the very first palette I bought from her, and they work amazing. if you feel like the Sonia G brushes are out of your price range, these are natural haired brushes and they're much more affordable. And Refer's just overall such an amazing brand. I haven't done a comparison video as to like comparing these to the Sonia G, but that will be coming soon as I start to use these more. Okay, next I'm going to go in with number 15, and this is just like a little dome shaped brush, and I'm going to dip into Faye. So I'm going to start working on my first eye, which is the right eye, very lightly, because Natasha Denona's eyeshadows are very, very pigmented. So I'm just using Faye as a bit of a transition shade, and as you can see, you get color payoff immediately. And I'm just being very light-handed. Okay, next I am going to go into this shade Oz. When I looked at this palette, Oz was one of the shades my eyes naturally gravitated to, just like Evergreen. So I'm gonna use the same brush, and I'm going to work that into the crease very lightly. So it's like a very subtle green. And just blending that in. That is absolutely gorgeous, that shade. Okay, next I'm gonna go into Evergreen, but I am going to use a much smaller crease brush. So I'm gonna go in with number 14. See, it's a much smaller dome brush, and I'm just gonna lightly dip into Evergreen, and let's just give this outer corner some depth. And I'm just concentrating it right there. So Evergreen is much brighter on the eye than it looks like in the pan. In the pan, it looks deeper. And I'm just patting that in where I want it. And then I'm gonna go back to my number 15 brush that I used to apply Oz. And I'm gonna use whatever's left on the brush to kind of diffuse and melt that color into the crease. And I'm gonna apply a little bit more of Oz, because I just want to blend it all together. That is gorgeous. Now I'm gonna go in with my number 13 brush, which is even smaller than 14. So let me just show you this. See, they are, this one is number 13, which is smaller. And I'm gonna use that to go into the shade Jazzy, which looks like this purpley brown almost. I feel like it has like a sort of like a purple undertone. So I'm gonna use just a little bit of that, and I'm gonna give this just a little bit of depth, just this outer corner right here. Not too much, just a smidge, just a smidge. Perfect. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with a clean number 27 brush. This is very big and fluffy, and I'm just going to soften the edges here. Just blend, blend, blend. Okay. So that, I love that. Okay. Next, I'm gonna go in with my number 2 brush, and I'm gonna go into, I'm gonna go into Oscar, which is this taupey shimmery shade, and I'm going to apply that all over the lid. Oh, that's gorgeous. It's kind of like a dirty champagne. And I'm just applying that all over the lid. Remember, I'm going to be doing a second look different from this one on the other eye. Oof, that's beautiful. All right, then I'm gonna use my number 28 brush, which is the same shape as number 2, but it's smaller, as you can see, and less dense because this one's much flatter. So I'm gonna go into, I'm dying to go into Flutter, but I guess we can go into Palladian. That's really pretty. So I'm gonna go into Palladian just to kind of keep it a little bit cohesive with the green. Let's just grab a little bit of that. And I'm gonna apply that right to the center. Oh my gosh. Just to the center, just to give it a little pop. And I'm just spreading that out and tapping it just to kind of help it blend in. That's pretty. So you get like this pretty subtle green look that I think it's kind of everyday friendly. I can wear it to the office, right? Depending on where you work. Like I work in a, you know, corporate office and I can wear this to work. But I do understand that there are some work environments that are much more strict than others. Next, I'm gonna go in with this number 29 brush, and I'm gonna use the color Evergreen down here, and I'm gonna use that as liner. Oh, whoa, that shade is actually super sensitive. I just tapped my brush in there and look at the dent it has made into the brush. See that? I mean, into the actual eyeshadow pan. It almost looks like foam. Like, that was strange. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna tap that on the lash line. And I love this brush because it helps me get into that lash line without making a mess. It's very precise. Okay, then I'm gonna go into that jazzy shade we used earlier, which was like that chocolatey brown. Using the same brush, gonna tap over the evergreen just to, you know, give it a little depth. That's beautiful. Okay, let's apply a little bit more. And I'm only lining the outer half of my eye. Okay, so this is the first look. We'll leave, you know, mascara and all that towards the end. Let's move on to that second look. So I'm gonna go in with my number 1 brush, And because I have a microfiber towel here, so I am wiping my brushes before going into another color. I'm gonna go ahead and go into Holly right here. And I'm gonna use that shade actually as a transition shade in my crease. Because remember I had already laid down Lucy on both eyelids just to neutralize everything. So I'm gonna dip into Holly and just use that as a transition shade. Oh my gosh, that's really pretty. By the way, these colors, they blend amazingly. Okay, next I'm just really excited to use right here Maxi and Flare. At some point those two colors are going to make it onto my eyelid. Next I want to go into Belle, which is this pretty like mauve-y kind of pink tone, and I'm gonna go in using, what's this one, my number 13 brush. Actually, I'll use my number 14 brush, which is a little bigger, just to start working that in on top of that transition shade. So just layering that over. I love that. Okay, next I'm gonna go into Maxi, and I'm gonna go into that shade using brush number 13, which is like this purpley, it's kind of like a purple taupe shade. Okay, and I'm just going to apply that to the outer corner. And just work it in slowly. Okay, so this one is giving me a hard time blending. I have to work a little bit harder. I mean, I'm getting there, but it's taking a little bit more work. So I want to concentrate that just here out here in the outer corner. Next, I'm going to go in with my number 15 brush, and I'm going to go ahead and layer Flare, which is, I mean, this can go south real quick because I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go into Flare, which is the red shade, and I'm going to layer it on top of Maxi, because it is above, Flare is directly above Maxi, which the way Natasha Denona uses her eyeshadow palettes is usually the shadows that are in a row, you know, diagonally or across, you can layer on top of each other because it's kind of like a whole look. So we're gonna roll with it. And I'm using again my number 15 brush. I'm dipping into Flare, and I'm layering that over Maxi. That's actually really pretty. You see, you can't doubt our girl Natasha. She knows what she's doing. Scrub a little bit more, and just diffusing that all into the crease. That's beautiful, actually. It gives this beautiful like magenta plummy look to the eye. I really like that. Okay, next I'm going to use my big number 27 fluffy brush, and I'm just going to blend out the edges ever so slightly. Okay, next I'm gonna use brush, where is it? Brush number 28. And I'm gonna use that to go into, I really wanna go into Marlin, which is this green shade here in the corner. But I don't know, it's like across the palette. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna go into Marlin. I may start looking like a clown at some point if I haven't already reached that point. I'm gonna go into Marlin with my number 28 brush. And I'm actually gonna apply this shade on the outer portion of my lid, just to test out. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep that here in the outer corner because I really want to use Flutter, and I want to apply that to the inner portion of the eye. Ooh, Marlin is stunning. Yeah, I love that. Okay, next I'm gonna go into my number 20. I'm gonna use my number 21 brush. This is more for like glittery shades, kind of like this Flutter shade here. It looks like it has, you know, chunky like glitters and stuff, but it's not. It's like one of her special formulas. And I'm gonna use my number 21 brush, and I'm going to apply this into the inner part of the lid to meet up to the half in the middle of my lid. I'm sorry, from the inner corner to the middle of my lid to meet up with Marlin. I'm going to kind of blend those colors together. Of course, there's no chunky glitters and there's no fallout, which is, honestly, I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she creates like such chunky, bright, heavy pigmented colors and there's no fallout. There's no fallout ever. I don't know, it's like magic. That's really, really pretty. I like that. Okay. I'm gonna just grab a little bit more Flutter and let's just even this out here. I'm gonna go back into my number, using my 15 brush, and I'm going to dip back into Maxi and just kind of reinforce this outer crease color here, because I feel like when I applied Marlin, I covered some of that color up. I'm gonna go into Flare, layer that on top. And then I'm gonna go back into my number 20 using my I can't speak today. I'm gonna go back in with my number 27 brush and just blend out the edges. That is gorgeous. Next, I'm gonna be using my number 3 pencil brush, and I'm gonna dip into, again, Maxi and Flare, and I'm gonna layer that. So I'm gonna go in with Maxi first. You all know I like a red liner, so going in with Flare, lining the outer half of my lash line with Flare. And then I'm going into Maxi, which is the shade directly under it, and I'm layering Maxi on top. My daughter is having the time of her life with my husband and my mother-in-law right now. She is living her best life. They're playing with her and she's laughing so hard. I wonder if you guys can hear her in the background. Okay, now let's go in with some mascara, some brow gel, and I'll be right back. Okay, so as far as eyebrow gel, I put on some of my Gimme Brow in shade number 4. I applied some of my Chanel Blanc Graphique 949 on my bottom waterline. And I applied my Tarte Lights Camera Lashes mascara to my top and bottom lashes. And this is what both of these eye looks look like up close. So you can go, you know, subtle with the green, subtle with like the pinks and purples. I like how this look came out. As far as lips are concerned, I'm torn, and this may not come out good, but I'm actually gonna make a very weird combination here. I'm gonna apply my Merit lipstick and in Baby, and then I'm gonna go in with Wild Orchid, which is a full-on plumping lip cream from Buxom. Why am I doing this? I don't know. I thought it would be cool. So let's see. Let's try it out. There's this coupon out for everyone to use once at Sephora to get 20% off of your purchase. You have definitely got to put these Merit lipsticks on there. Like, this is stunning. Stunning. Okay, next let's go in with the gloss. I don't know why I thought this would look good, but I did. Let's put a little bit more. Actually, it looks good. I like that. I like that. I know it's a weird color, but I do love me a good like lavender gloss on its own. Now I know I can layer this with some of my lipsticks and give it like a little something. All right, so that completes this look. And I just want to give you a couple of looks on how to use this palette to give you, you know, something wearable. You know, you can use this palette every day and have it be part of your project pan and get through it and all that stuff. So you don't have to be super afraid of the Natasha Denona palettes, because it's all about how you apply it, how much you use. You don't have to do those super glam looks if you don't want to. You have that option, which I feel like was some of my reservations with Natasha Denona, was because most of the looks I saw with this palette, well, not this palette, any of her palettes, were very pigmented, very high glam. And although I love a look like that, I very seldomly wear looks like that. Why? Because I work a full-time job, I work in an office. You can't, you know, we've got a dress code. So, you know, there's certain things that, you know, we can't wear on a day-to-day. And so makeup gets old, and you don't want to throw your money away. So what you buy, you want to make sure that you're gonna use. So now let's go ahead and get into swatches and my overall thoughts about this palette. So I think that this is exactly what we were asking for when we wanted an extension of the mini retro palette. This is exactly what the consumer had in mind. Now, a lot of people have opinions where, you know, they feel like, oh, it could have had more of this, more of that, or whatever. But I think that this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I expected when the retro midi palette came out. This is called the Retro Glam, but I love everything. I love everything about it. You know, I think that the pinks, the sage greens, the mint greens, it's very unique. It's not something that I, as somebody who has a fairly extensive makeup collection, I don't have these kinds of tones in any of my palettes. This kind of color story is not something that I own, and I feel like I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of this. This is a palette that most people found strange that, you know, it was launched during the fall, winter season, because this looks like a spring palette, doesn't it? But if you really look at this palette with the deep greens and the reds in there, you can make this very holiday if you want. It's a very versatile palette, and although there's like pastels in here and greens, which are not the easiest color to work with, they're actually very soft and they are very user-friendly. Although you have shimmers in here and really heavier shades, you don't get fallout, which is super important when working with eyeshadow palettes like this. If you're not a makeup artist, which I am not a makeup artist, I'm just a regular daily consumer just like you. If I'm working with heavily pigmented shades, I can't afford to have fallout, because that kind of fallout will create a giant mess. And some of us, like myself, cannot do our eyeshadow first and then our foundation second. I can't. I've tried, and it's such a pain, like getting around the eyebrow, not getting the eyebrow dirty, not disturbing like the eyeshadow. It's just real complicated. So I gravitate towards palettes that do not have fallout, because I prefer not to deal with the mess. And Natasha Denona's eyeshadows are really, really high quality, and I know that they're pricey. They are considered like that luxury price tag, but you get your money's worth. Like, these kinds of formulations is not something you come across with drugstore eyeshadow palettes. This is on another level. And of course it is. Natasha Denona is a makeup artist. That's what she's done for a living most of her life. And so she really put a lot of hard work into her eyeshadow formulations, and I'm here for it. I have yet to come across a Natasha Denona palette that has disappointed me. I think that the retro glam theme is so appropriate for that retro vibe. I don't know about you guys, I was born in '88, and my Christmas tree for a solid 10 years was this exact color story: peach and sage green with splashes of champagne and white. Leave me a comment down below if you remember those days. Literally, my entire Christmas tree was that exact color scheme. My whole house was that color scheme, that whole color story for a solid 10 years. My mom had like these pigeons in the Christmas tree. You guys remember those pigeons from the 80s? Yeah, those were super popular on my Christmas tree. There was lots of pigeons. There were lots of like giant bows that were like peach, and then there were a lot of sage green ornaments, creams, whites, and champagnes. And so much so that the Santa Claus statue and my Nutcracker statues under the Christmas tree were also that peach. There must have been a thing at that time. So when I think back to like the 80s, this is the exact color story I think of, because that's what I grew up with when I was young. So leave me a comment down below if you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. My mom rode that retro wave hardcore. Our walls were peach. Just to give you a little time travel into my childhood. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of my meteorites, and I'm gonna use my Real Techniques 227 brush, and I'm just going to swirl that in. I love the sound that my meteorites make when I swirl my brush into it. Ooh, I love that. And I just apply a little bit. I do like to put some down my neck just for, you know, a little something. And that pretty much completes this look. Let me know what you think. I tried to keep this short and sweet. I really do love the 2 looks I was able to create with this. I think that it's different, it's unique, yet beautiful, classy, subtle, something that you guys can do on an everyday basis. But I would love to hear your feedback. I mean, if you haven't used the Sephora coupon yet, I highly recommend you pick up this palette. I think you're gonna like it much more than you think. There's so much that you can do with this palette. I think that in this palette there are a lot of one and done shades. So you've got these taupey shades here, you've got these beautiful mint greens, you've got this beautiful little champagne color, you've got some liner shades in here. I love this purple, it's beautiful. But I think there's a lot of one and done shades, really cute. You can do a lot with this. So if you haven't picked this one up, I highly recommend you consider putting this in your cart to use that 20% coupon. And who knows, maybe if you put it on your wish list, Santa Claus will bring it to you. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling, because now I'm just talking boguto, just for nothing at this point. But leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you picked this up and you're like over the moon about it and you didn't expect to love it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and see you next time. Bye.